Hi students, this is Mr. Panico, and this video recording is the instructions on how to complete the Gizmo Mineral Identification Lab. Okay, and you should have already printed out the data sheet for this lab, and the data sheet I'm showing you right here. Gizmo Mineral Identification Lab, Geoscience, and you have 10 minerals here, and you see their corresponding sample letter, F, D, H. H, for example, is hematite, C is gold, etc. But what you do not have is the data of the properties of those minerals, which are used by geologists to identify which mineral it is, and that's what this lab is all for. So let's go back to the lab, and this area right here on the left you do not need to use, so you can ignore that area. But what you will be using is the sample crystals and minerals here on this block, and you'll be going to the different properties for each mineral. Notice the minerals in this lab are labeled by letters, so that's mineral A, B, C. Just click on next, or go back to the previous. Okay, it's simple enough. And what you'll be doing, well, we'll do the first one together. It's sample F. So when you go to the data sheet, you'll see I've already filled in the halite for you. So let's do it together. Obviously this is a cube, so you'd write down cube. It's glassy, so you'd write down glassy in the data. And the color is actually a whitish color, but it's a little grayish looking here in the lab. Alright, so that would be color, luster, crystal shape. Okay, it's cube and glassy. Now let's go to density. Okay, so you have density, going up to the drop down, click on density, bring the cube down on the balance scale. It's 33 grams. That's the mass, 33 grams. So how dense is it? Let's get the volume and find out. 15 milliliters in volume. So take the 33 and divide it by 15, and you get 2.2 grams per milliliter, and that's how dense this particular mineral is. Okay, now let's go to the hardness. Drop down, go to hardness, and you have a fingernail, which is 2.5 on the Mohs scale of hardness, so it's not very hard. Penny is 3.5, a little bit harder. Glass is 5.5 on the Mohs scale, that's pretty hard. And a steel plate is 6.5. Okay, so let's see where the cube of halite fits in. We're dragging it to the fingernail. You can see that it did scratch the fingernail. So the cube is harder than the fingernail. So that means the cube must be 3.0 because the fingernail is 2.5. So the cube is 3.0 or harder. Well, let's see if it's harder than 3.0. Let's go to the penny, which is 3.5, and the cube does not scratch the penny. Therefore, the cube is 3.0. It's not as hard as the penny, but it's harder than the fingernail, so it's in between 3.0. So you go to the data sheet and you see hardness is 3. Okay, let's go to the streak color. Take the cube, rub it over the ceramic plate, and the streak is white. So this streak is the powdered form of the mineral, and it means that the actual color of the mineral is white. It's the streak that tells you the actual color. Even if the appearance of the mineral is white or whitish or off-white or a little gray, the streak will tell you what the real color is. In this case, it's white. Okay, so on the lab data sheet, you put white for the streak color, and for the acid reaction, grab the dropper, put some acid on there, and you notice it did not fizz. See, it just evaporated, didn't fizz. Okay, so the fizz was no. Alright, now these properties, cube, glassy, whitish, 2.2 density, 3 hardness, the actual streak color is white, did not fizz, that is the identification for halite, which is salt. Alright, now D, let's do D very quickly. So you want to go back to D, go back to appearance. This is a rhombus, so write rhombus and it's glassy, so write glassy. It's a little bit whitish, so rhombus, glassy, whitish appearance. And then density, it's 67.5 grams, 67.5. Drop it in the beaker cylinder and you get 25 milliliters. So 67.5 divided by 25 equals 2.7 grams per milliliter. That's the density, 2.7. Okay, let's now go to hardness. By the way, you should have calculator with you, your cell phone calculator or calculator on your computer. Okay, so the hardness of this particular mineral, well, it does scratch the fingernail, so we know it's 2.5. It's 2.5 or higher, and it does not scratch the penny. So it's actually, I'm sorry, it's 3.0 or higher, because we know it's harder than the fingernail, but softer than the penny and won't scratch the penny. So it's the hardness is 3. So on the mineral data sheet, you write 3 for hardness for sample D. And for streak, just grab it, run it across the ceramic plate, and it's white. So the true color of this mineral is white. And then for acid reaction, which I did want you to see, watch it fizz. Okay, so I picked this mineral that we do together so you can see how, yes, it does fizz. So you'd have hardness 3, streak color white, fizz yes, density 2.7, rhombus glassy whitish. That's calcite. Those are the properties of calcite. Now you're going to do the very same thing for all the other minerals. Collect that data, look at it, analyze it, see what you've got. I'll be asking you questions about the data in the quiz. And there's just one more very fast thing I want to do with you. I want to go to H, and I want to show you, I'm going to go to hardness, and I want to show you a harder mineral, because this hematite cuts right through the fingernail, so we know it's harder than 2.5. Cuts through the penny, scratches the penny, I should say. So we know it's harder than 3.5. So right now it's 4.0 or harder. Let's go to the glass, and it does scratch the glass. So now we know it's harder than 5.5. So therefore it's 6. Let's see if it's harder than 6.5, and it's not. This steel plate is harder than the hematite. So therefore the hematite is definitely 6.0. but not 5.0 or harder. Okay, and I wanted you to see that. Okay, so go ahead and continue filling in the data for H, C, P, T, V, W, which is hematite, gold, pyrite, silver, topaz, etc. When all this data is filled in, then continue on with the quiz on mineral identification. Thank you, everyone.